I don't know how to start YouTube videos with intros and all that. I've been having some requests for a while, and one of my goals for the new year is to make more varied content. And some of that includes some analysis of my arrangements. This one we have here is day 24 of my 25 Days of Christmas, um, which is my arrangement of It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, but I tried to replicate Jacob Collier's arrangement of Moon River. So not only are there a ton of tracks, I also didn't write any music down for this. It was all improvised. You can see all the little sections I did here, one note at a time and all that we'll get into. I've tried writing some charts like this before. I've written, I think, 3 flute choir charts like this. The first one would have been Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which I did a little over a year ago in 2019. Then I did Somewhere Over the Rainbow and What a Wonderful World, I believe. So I think those are the 3 times that I've tried to write a chart like this before this chart. But this was the first time I did it with saxophones. And something I found with doing this is I go by ear a lot when writing this rather than knowing all the harmony beforehand. And it leads to some really interesting harmonic choices that I think we'll see later in the chart as I'm going through it. Like I said, the goal of this was to kind of replicate Moon River, which I covered a while ago. So let's get started with this chart. So if for those of you who are familiar with Jacob Collier's arrangement of Moon River, you'll know that he starts out with this section where everybody's singing moons and just notes in a B-flat major scale. I took a similar approach here. I was thinking about starting with just one note like he does, but I ended up starting with this sus chord, which is just a simple F sus chord, and I start building off of that. Similarly, it's all notes in an F major scale. We'll go through here and see the kind of chords that I build up through this as it loads. So immediately the next note we get in is that A natural, which I like to call this like a sus10 chord, because you have the sus on the bottom, and then you have the major third, which as an extension. So it's more, I think of it more as a 10 rather than a 3. Just fun to think about. So building up slowly with the sopranos and up top. And about here we get our first low B flat down an octave. So a lot of this was just going by ear, hearing what the chord was sounding like, and then coming in with a new voice and what I was hearing. There wasn't too much planning. It's just whatever I heard was missing maybe a little bit. So by this point in time, we have some more low B flats in the Barry. I think I actually pitch shifted this down to get the really low B flat. Let's see, where would they be? Yeah. Yeah. So the Barry doesn't normally go down that low. Let's see. Yeah, I recorded a written middle G on Barry and then shifted that down an octave. And we get these sort of angelic sort of things up top on the A. It's still, well, it was still largely a sus chord in the middle. This may happen. I gotta switch this really quick. Every once in a while it starts crackling, so I gotta switch that. I'm gonna have to do that a few times throughout this. I'll hopefully cut that out. Anyways, so you have this largely F sus chord in the middle, and by this point we're starting to get that low B flat down below to make it sound like more like a B flat chord. It's kind of like an F sus over B flat, which gives us very open like Aaron Copland sound, like Appalachian Spring sort of stuff. And while I remember it, there is actually, I added a bunch of reverb on this in this section. You can hear how long that actually is. And that just creates this sort of atmosphere. I can't remember if he did that on Moon River or not. But yeah, basically a cathedral setting. Very reverberant, and I think helps create a nice atmosphere with this very moving harmony, and brings out this alto part that's coming in. Yeah, let me turn that reverb off. And let's see, which one is it? Yeah. There's no pitch shifting on that. I pitch shifted some notes down. I mean, I tuned it a little bit. But I didn't transpose any of the notes up at all. All the crazy high notes were done legit. So yeah, that's a high F, written a high D on alto. And that's not the highest note I played in this chart. Anyways. I think actually this one, there are a few parts in this where I kind of bend in between the notes, and that actually was inspired a bit by, I hope this doesn't buffer, Jacob Collier's arrangement of "In the Bleak Midwinter." He does that sometimes in the intro there. Let's see. I think I also did it in tenor part. All to sort of create an atmosphere with all of this is the real main goal of this. And it still largely remains around that sort of F sus chord. But then as we come up here, that actually transitions into more of a B flat chord. So I'm going to be playing the melody in F, so I do end up cadencing to a 5 chord, a C chord, which is actually a C major add 4, because I do have an F in there. I think I might have cut it off a little earlier, so that ends as just a triad, but yeah, so you end with that cadence of a 4 to a 5. Basically that's what it is. So it sounds like that's the end of that section, and then gets us into this part here. So we have, I'll minimize that a little bit. So then we get into the main part of the melody. think the chart is 2 choruses long. And yeah, like I said, I was trying to base this a lot off of how I saw that Jacob Collier did his arrangement of Moon River. So when I was doing this, I was thinking, okay, it's got to be really slow. Start by recording small segments of the melody and then harmonize it. Hopefully have some cool chords down here, but just keep that vibe going. So we start out. I do some interesting stuff up here, but the bass chord, the standard chords, the chords are actually fairly simple down here in the tenors and berries. Just 1-4-1, F to B flat to F, and I think I kept the low F in the berries there. Go into a 6 minor, the D minor, and I'll put the melody on as well. To a dominant, so working our way down. Using this E as a passing note to go down to the D minor. To the G7, like dominant 2. But I do some interesting stuff above that as well. So these, make it a little bigger. So with the tempo being this slow, I was always looking for ways that I could sort of keep it moving so it didn't just sort of drudge on and get kind of boring. So this is one of the first ideas I had, which was just to take this descending scale and it wasn't quite perfectly in time. I didn't really care to do that. Let me turn the but yeah, just I think basically the range of the soprano that I could play over that F major chord, just this descending pattern scale wise, offset a little bit. You just kind of give it a little bit motion, and then kind of land here and build up this pyramid, as Jacob liked to do a lot. Which is, it starts out with a little, so you're on this F chord down here, and then the sopranos build up, like a C sus over F, but just getting that 5, 1, 9, 5, and then actually this like a B minor not or B minor 7 over that. Which is kind of interesting in one of those spots where the harmony was really dictated by my ears hearing this line, not knowing what it was, but I just heard, this cadence, and then not thinking of what the harmony was, I just built it up one note at a time, and that was that. So you end up with this like a F Lydian. It's almost like a Lydian sharp 15 chord. It just happened to be what I heard there. And sort of the altos building on the harmony a little bit there. So the first instance of using the Jesse lick in this arrangement, which I used a bit. So where the sopranos sort of end on with that D minor up top, the altos continue that D minor down here a little bit, and then go into and go to like a G Lydian. It's still basically like a D major, just centered around G. And then we land all together on that D minor chord. Play it all together. So harmonically, it's one of those things I wouldn't have written if I were thinking about the chords. But I think a strong melody it can sort of overcome interesting harmonic choices like that, where the strong melody can overcome some interesting harmonic choices. So you went over the chords down there, and the altos and sopranos just sort of fluffing it up, giving it some motion again. So it's not just long chords and a melody. And then we get to this part. Which is a part where I really wanted to... I think I kind of wanted to flex some harmonic things. I started with a fairly simple walking up line in the tenors and baries, and actually I had to change some notes later to fit what the altos were doing. So I think initially that was actually supposed to be diatonic. Then I sort of came up with this alto line, which is, again, all sort of by ear. I heard this sort of melody, and this is what I wanted to do over the altos, and then adjust things around it. If I just unmute or install this. So this is a line that I heard. Let's go back and turn the keyboard on. It starts out. So it starts out like this G sus. I think the melody is just holding out a G. So normally I'd probably do something like that, like a G7 to a C7, or just be on the C7 already and just stay there. And instead what I do is a G sus to this like D major add 4, and then I sequence it up to an E major add 4, and then to an F sharp major add 4. So all together the line. So that's the kind of line that I heard, and then just adjusting all the other voices around that to fit what I was doing there. And then this chord, I kind of decided I thought it'd be funny to, rather than having a dominant 5 chord with the C7, having a 5 chord with the major 7 on top. So that's what the sopranos kind of build up there. I think with some added color tones. And then finishing on that C7. Some other things to think about him. So I had this counterline here. Some interesting harmonies there to match what the other altos were doing. So that's a descending line, but the original thought was that ascending line. So that I think counterpoint works well between the two parts. And this is actually a reharmonization that I kind of worked out beforehand when I was playing through the tune a little bit. Rather than playing that harmony the same as first time, I decided to actually make it go to an A major or an A dominant chord. Kind of like that. So A dominant to a D minor. And I usually do like a passing note. So D minor over C, B flat, kind of B flat at 9, and then back to a 1. So that's kind of the basic harmony that I was planning for when I did this, but I gave it a little bit more motion as well. So there's just some embellishments a little again to keep the chart moving a little bit because it is such a slow rubato tempo. I don't want it to sound like it's slow. I want it to sound like a normal chart despite its tempo. So yeah, that's the basic harmony that I was working with there. And then these alto parts here that we're about to come up on were actually an afterthought to bridge this next part, because I knew I wanted some silence in between here, like a little pause, but I had to find a way to make it fit well. So that's what I initially had, but it sounded really empty, so I knew I had to add something here. So I added this. It's sort of like a secondary dominant, like a 5 chord, just to lead it somewhere. But what I actually did, I believe, so I did rather than what you might expect, because I'm trying to get to this G chord, whether it's G dominant or G minor. I'm trying to get there. Normally, what you'd expect is to get to a G chord is like a dominant 7 chord or something. What I actually wrote, and I don't remember my exact reasoning for this, was like an A7 to a G minor, and then the rest of them come in with a G dominant, actually. That's one of my favorite chords. It's C13 flat 9, or sometimes I think of it like a C7 and then an A major on top. So just to bridge the gaps a little bit there. And then cadencing with a sort of churchy thing, which I do a few times on this chart. It's just a nice way to end that phrase and feel like you're at church. And I sort of hinted this through here, which I use quite a bit in this chart actually, is just holding a pitch over into the next section and using that to sort of pivot. So that's the first one where where the C comes in up top and sets that up. And now I do the same thing with the A and hold that over, which just happens to be what the melody's doing. So now you have this high A and the low A in the melody, and a world of harmony that you can choose from. So what do? Well, we're going to D minor, so I write a D major chord. I honestly don't know how I heard this. I think I heard those, and then I heard that F sharp, and then I heard the D. I heard those notes separately. I wasn't hearing a D major chord, but I heard each of the notes individually and happened to build up a D major chord. And then it was a matter of how do I get this D major to sort of resolve to that D minor? And the important parts there were these two tracks here. Yeah. So on this D major chord, you have a 2 to 1, and then a 7-6. They're kind of descending line that keeps it moving and gives it some nice colors. And then resolving to a D minor 7 chord. And all these barrier parts down here, just outlining that D minor chord and trying to keep the chart moving a bit, which I had a feeling was going to be a big struggle for this chart. So I was always thinking, is this chart going a little slow? And how do I keep it moving without bumping up the tempo? Because I didn't want to bump up the tempo, but I still wanted it to feel like it's moving forward somewhere. And you might be able to tell that that's not really in a strict metronome time. I didn't record it that way, and I was just trying to go by ear, and I actually recorded the melody first, and how I timed that kind of influenced how I had to space things out. So that's how that ended up working out. That tempo choice wasn't really a choice, but it's just how it happened. Because I did not do a click track for this, because it was all improvised. And then I tried to sneak the new harmonies in with sopranos up here. So what I want to do here, so the melody ends up on this G, and I love the sound of when that's like the major third chord. Just spacing it out like that, I love the sound of that. So I decided to use that, start from there. And we'll listen to this to give you an idea of what it sounds like first. So that's what it sounds like. And I knew I wanted this to be very harmonically rich and colorful. So I started with E flat chord, and then I actually went to a D major chord, but with the melody and as an F natural, as a passing minor third, which is really interesting. And then a D major over F sharp, to a G, add 9 as you kind of expect, like a 5-to-1 motion. And then the melody's on this E. Okay, make that an E chord. When the melody moves to make it an E dominant chord. And then, well, we had been having this chromatic motion in the bass line. So let's move it up a whole step. Why not? And what I ended up doing here was really like a B flat minor 11 chord. So altogether, that's E flat, D major over F sharp with a passing minor third, G major add 9, E7 to a B flat minor 11, which is very interesting. I actually did work that out on this keyboard a little bit beforehand. And so I knew what notes to write and some of the voice lighting and all that. And then these altos, again, just outlining it a bit, keeping it moving a little bit, in sort of pyramid style. And this is the weird section of the chart that I almost threw out because I didn't know how it fit with the rest of the chart. This was at the end of, I think, one of the days of recording, when I was recording these tenor and barry parts, and I just sort of going by ear whatever I heard I played. So it started out like this. Building up, it's like an F Lydian cluster, something around there, and then something in my ear was telling me to do this. Sort of, I think I took this idea from Eric Whitaker on Ghost Train. There's a point in one of the movements where he takes this just 1-5-3, which is a really nice sounding voicing, and he just moves that around. I can't remember exactly what he wrote, but that was kind of the idea behind this next part, where he just moves everything together exactly. So I'd heard that, or my ears were just hearing moving that around somewhere. So I ended up doing this with the barries and tenors. I don't think I'd written those notes yet. But yeah, so it's just down the octave, but. Which really kind of shifts the harmony in crazy places. And I wrote that, and I honestly, I'd also written some of this mess. It was trying to be a little very chaotic with these altos as well. I ended up adding some notes up here to try and calm it down a little bit. What I originally wrote was something around here. And if I just solo these altos, you hear you had Jesse lick, and I believe there's A flat. Oops. Turn the piano on. So you have the Jesse lick in A flat. These are just random notes, completely random. And then some trills. Um, so you have after G. So just anything I heard, I added here, and it's quite chaotic. And then I added the Jesse lick in F. So you have Jesse lick in F, and then Jesse lick in A flat. Yeah, so I really wasn't sure how I was going to get out of that. The harmony is just so weird there. But I knew where I wanted to end up. And where I wanted to end was here. I was sleeping on this, and I wanted this sort of little drone and the tenors on a G, and then to play the melody around it. The question was just, how do I get there? So I added some things to sort of settle this all down. These alto lines. So you just simple things to sort of establish tonal center a little bit better. I don't think I did anything in sopranos. Yeah, it was just a very weird spot. I don't know how I got there, but I needed to find a way out of it, and I think I managed to do that. So again, we have this Barry and tenor part that ends with this B flat chord, B flat triad, and then that's sort of the resolution. But and then these sopranos come in. Let's see, with this little slow stacking pyramid. Whole tone scale, which is like a dream sequence. So it was all a dream. You may have thought we went somewhere weird, but no, we didn't. It was all a dream. And then we end with just this single G. I ended up staggering the breathing a little bit. Between 4, kind of 5 tracks. And then playing the melody over that. Really, the calm before the storm, because there's going to be a hell of a storm coming up. Alright, so then this is like a reverse pyramid I stacked it. So you end up with the melody on the D and this pedal tone still on the G. Let's see, and this is another one of those lines that I just was kind of hearing note by note what note comes next. Okay, so we start on this F. So kind of adding like a C major add 4, kind of I've used that a little bit in this chart. Really add 9 if I were to put all those notes. So I think that's where the tenors end, and then the Barrys come in. And actually, so they get, and then, okay. So establishing this C chord over that, or under that, and then the Barrys actually go down in fifths from there. until they get to the low B flat. Oops. Solo that. Yeah, so now we've built ourselves down from like a C chord to a B flat chord, more or less, is where this is ending up. And that works really well because the melody ends up going to this D natural. And this is where the big rise begins. So this is 100% Jacob Collier influence for me. I know he got it from somewhere else. But it's basically taking, let's see, so this is a B flat chord. So yeah, that was the melody line in this lead tenor part. Because we're on a B flat chord. So the top part was just going up B flat pentatonic. Parts below it were just starting lower in the B flat pentatonic scale and more or less going up the same pentatonic scale. Let's see. Yeah. So that gets a little bit more of the chord. And then, yeah, so just trying to build it up, and then ending with this wild vibrato, terminal vibrato, which is the only time I've done that outside of Moon River. But that's what this chart is supposed to be, right? So then we're on this. So the tenors end up building up this, and they've built up to this B flat major chord. The berries have actually moved by that point. So they have moved to this E flat chord. So you have this E flat chord in the berries and this B flat, more or less B flat chord in the tenors, which is a really nice way to kind of think of building up an E flat major 9 or major 7 chord. Is to think you'd have E flat on bottom, and then you go to the 5 chord and build that up top. So that's what I did here. E flat, B flat up top. And then because we're on an E flat chord down below, the altos are going to do similar to what the tenors did and build up in this sort of Jacobian way. And that's just building up that, working from an E flat major chord. Something more or less like that. But then they're going to actually resolve to a C major chord. I keep forgetting to turn that on. Turn the keyboard on. I might have stuck in an F sharp in there, but basically a C major 7 chord is what. So they build up this from a E flat major chord then resolve to a C major chord. But I'll always move it up. And then underneath it is basically an F major chord. So again, you have that 5 chord in the C major over the 1 chord in F major. That's where they ended up there. And again, using that big terminal vibrato, kind of build up some anxiousness. It's supposed to sound like it's going somewhere. And this vibrato actually is pretty crazy. It's very excessive what I do. It's hilarious, I think. Because a little bit vibrato doesn't do too much, but you go really crazy on it. All right, so we're building up. We're almost there. We have one big chord before we finally get to the shout chorus. So it's got to be a good chord, right? So I'm going to start with the berries. Turn the keyboard on. Start with the berries. So that's just a G major, add 9. Well, what are the tenors going to do? Well, they're going to play a D major, more or less. That's fine. You have a G major 9. That's fine. What are the altos going to do? They're going to play a B major, because why not? They're going to make sure. I think my actual intent with this was to play, let's see, what are these playing? Yep. Yeah. So there is this. Yeah, so this is what I actually was aiming for. I had to overlap some of the chords a little bit. Yeah. So basically what this chord is, you have a B chord, you have an A chord, or you have a G chord, you have an A chord, you have a B chord. It's a B major over A major over G major chord. And then, what do I have these sopranos doing? Turn those off. I had to add some colorful notes in this to make it all fit. Alright. So, we're going to build this up. So I remember what I wrote. There's B major. B major 7. So you have that A. You have this A sharp on top of a G major chord. G sharp. Okay, that works as part of the A major. That works as part of the D major. Oh, that's out of tune. Okay, that works as part of the B major. And then I add a G sharp or a G natural in there. So altogether, that's something like that. So it's basically B major with an added G natural in there. And then a squealing B natural, because why not? So yeah, that's what this chord is. To ramble on for too much. So it's basically G major, A major, B major, with some extra notes to make it actually fit together well. And that's the last thing you hear before we go into this crazy shout chorus, which is as loud and fanfarish as I can make it. So here we are, the crazy shout chorus. So yeah, this was just me playing as loud as I could, and a lot of parts, and trying to make it sound epic. So yeah, let's get into it. So already this is actually a harmonic thing that I wanted to do earlier in the chart, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work yet. So again, we're still in F. Yeah, we had that crazy G chord, B over A over G, and that's going to resolve to F major, because that makes sense. So what we're doing here with the melody, the harmony, we're actually going. Well, the idea is like to go to like a minor 4 chord instead of a major 4. Think of it as a half diminished 2. Still have this in the bass. I think I have that in bass. But to have that minor 4 chord with the D flat in there. But the issue is that the melody then goes to the D natural. So we gotta go and switch that back to a D natural for the melody. And that's what the underlying harmony is, which I think should be all in the tenors and baries. I'll play the melody as well. This is harmonically, besides that one chord with the D flat, it's very similar, if not pretty identical, to the beginning of the chart, the first A section. Yeah, actually the chords are very similar throughout this, but I'll point out the differences. So let's listen to all the charts, all the parts. Then I have some excitement up in the altos and sopranos coming up. So to look at some of that, we have these just offset scales. It's just F major. And it's fading it out of the way to get out of the way. Let's see, what do I have here? Just crazy out of time descending scales. Then up in the sopranos. Yeah, again, I buried the Jesse lick all over this. So then that's just, oops. I think he was using like an F-Lydian and just going really fast between those. And And then as many interesting counterlines as I could come up with. Yeah, it's just we're on this D minor chord here, which is normal what we did earlier. To this G major or G7, which is the same harmony I used earlier. Let's see, some interesting things I did to keep the motion. Yeah. Yep. So whatever I was hearing, the chart needed to keep it moving a little bit. These are all sort of decorative, so if they're perfectly in time or not doesn't really bug me too much. So it's just going, up and down the scale and alternating it. Let's see. And just playing notes. Because fast notes create excitement. And I'll get to that. So in the sopranos, I think those are just extra notes. Arpeggios in these. I think that's 3 arpeggios, I think. Some scale movement. That here is a high F sharp on soprano. Front F sharp. I don't like side F sharp. And then all the high notes. So let's see, what was I doing there? Oops. I gotta remember to turn this piano on. Go down here. Okay, piano's on. So it has to be epic, so you gotta have high notes. Okay. So that's high B on alto, which isn't too bad. High D on alto. It's getting kind of high, but okay. This one hurt. That's a high F sharp on alto. And then I was listening to this in the context of the chart. Like, God, if I don't have that high concert D, it's just not going to feel complete. So I got to figure out how to get that high concert D. Well, it turns out I can do that on Barry. Oh. I just listened to that and I cracked myself up. It's hilarious. It seems totally unnecessary, but it sounds epic. So I just listened to this for a bit. Anyways, that amused me. I think music should be fun, and that made it fun. So anyways, we're on this D minor chord. And we gotta go somewhere else. Oops, I'm saving it. All right. So where are we gonna go? Oops, where are we gonna go from this D minor chord? Well, we went. Oh, so we're on a G chord by this time. Well, we're going to go to an A flat chord. Why? Because this G becomes the seventh of a major 7 chord, and that's really hip. And that's really the reasoning why I went to the A flat chord there. I think I went from a flat to major 7 chord to like a B flat major chord. Let's see. Yeah. No inversions on this. And then you got to keep it moving, so we have these moving scales in the altos and the tenors with some extra color notes. Yeah, so the fun part about this, so we're on this A flat chord, and these 2 notes are here actually are like a sharp 15 down there. Yeah, anyways, so it's just some moving lines scale wise to keep it moving. I think I doubled some stuff and had some actually. So those lines in the altos are going down. These tenors are going up. I think all the tenors are going up. Yeah. These tenors I think are doubling. Yeah, these are going down with the altos. Then you also have these 4 tenors. Actually, might be more down the other. No. So these 4 tenors are going up. I tried to get them really close in time, but they're not perfect, and whatever. It's supposed to be a little out of time, and there's enough going on that you don't really notice. And then I think these sopranos double the altos. Yeah, that's what's going on there. Okay. And cut them off so that there's space, just enough space for these guys to come in. And then this way, I use similar chords to the first time I do this in the melody and the first chorus, but a little spicier here. So again, working up to this D minor, which is where we end up. But the way I do it here, I still want this motion up to the D minor, but I actually start with a B in the bass, so it's a G major 9 with a B in the bass, so first inversion. And I think I actually write an A major 7 chord going to the D minor. So rather than what you might expect with it, like a dominant 5 chord with a G natural, I think I actually have that G sharp in there because major 7 chords are hip. And so it's and same chords as the beginning with extra floof on top. So let's listen to some of that floof. What was I doing? Okay, so those are just chords. So all the floof was in the altos and sopranos. So there's 2 separate lines. I think one building up and one moving around a little bit. building up to that chord, and then accenting neighbor note. So there's a E natural on this D chord that resolves to the D natural. Let's see. So this is just go crazy on the chord. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 5 is the basic pattern. And that continues with all these. Just create this mess of sound that I actually think adds a lot of excitement to it. And then it leads to a really nice resolution when they stop doing that. Let's see, what line did it use here? So yeah, some moving eighth notes. And then when we get to this D minor chord, I think I also added some crazy notes up here. So you can just add to the craziness before we get to that resolution. And then throughout this, I'm also slowly adding new notes. Adding high notes. Come in with... I thought about, so it's so I end up getting the F and the G there. On alto, that's a D and an F, or a D and an E. I thought about getting that concert the F sharp, but I was gonna kill my lip doing that, and I didn't feel like ruining my lip any more than I already had. So I just did that F sharp down the octave. I think it still sounds great. And this part, I have to admit, I kind of misremembered the melody, and I did this earlier in the chart too. And I thought about changing it, but at the time that I realized it was too late to change the entire chart, especially because it wasn't written. It works out really well this way. But yes, I do know that's how the melody's supposed to go. But instead what I wrote, but the nice thing about it is it creates this really cool harmonic moment here coming up. So I'll play this little thing right here, then explain what it is. So what I did here, so you have this, the melody goes C, D, and I had that as a D major 7 chord, which ends up, I get this, again, this passing minor third, which is really neat. No, what did I do? Then I go up a fourth, to this G major 7 with this half step on top with the F sharp and G, and then like an A flat Lydian. Oops. Something around there. It's more like an A flat Lydian. And again, that chaotic terminal vibrato on all of these parts. Let's see. It's just fun to listen to. And yeah, I had some moving lines. Some moving lines in there, and then coming in strong. And yeah, I wasn't thinking too much about the voicings here. Just descending lines, starting on a B flat chord, and then ending on an F chord. With some extra, like a 9 in there and stuff. And then where I go from here, so we're going to the bridge. And you may remember that on the first bridge, which should be in D minor, I went to a D major chord. So I did that again. So what's happening here, all these parts are slowly getting quieter. And then you get these parts sneak in. To this D major chord. And that was really just to be a callback. I tried to, trying to unify the chart. So the previous bridge went to D major, so why not have this go to D major? And they just sneak in there, so it sounds like it's always been there. I think I kind of got this idea from, I think, the second movement of an H. Owen Reed concert band score of La Fiesta Mexicana or Mexicana. Where he kind of has, I forget what key he was in, but he has like this C major chord, just like a lush chord, or something like that, where just that one weird note sort of comes out, and okay, it sounds like it's always been there, but it doesn't fit, and then okay, this new tonality is there, and it just fits really well. So that's where I kind of got this idea from. So I tried to make this a little bit different from the beginning. So it's just sitting on this D major chord and second inversion, so there's an A on the bottom. And then what I really like when I play through this chart on piano normally, sort of playing it like that, so you get this nice contrapuntal motion. So I decided to include that in here. I have some extra notes coming in on the sopranos to keep it alive a little bit. Back to D minor here on the low berries to emphasize that. And harmonically, what I did here, so on this D minor chord, so I actually have a tenor on the bottom here, and they go down to C natural. Then I go to an A flat chord. But so it's really comes from this bass motion that I like to use a lot. So you have a D minor over C, B or G over B, or G dominant over B, however you want to look at it. And then changing that B to a B flat, like a minor, G minor kind of thing. Then I happen to resolve it to the A flat there. So that's what's coming up here. And I'm adding some extra pretty notes on top of the sopranos here. And yes, the Jesse lick goes on for a while here. So then this is just the slow build into the end. So again, we start with this A flat major chord. And that bass line is actually just going to move in whole steps. We'll get to that. So we have these alto lines that actually these alto lines are going to do similar thing. It's just a scale going upwards over these chords. And then on the other side. Oops. Is there another? So following the harmony, I think I harmonized it here. So this is kind of like that part in Jacob Collier's Moon River arrangement, where the pitch slowly starts to rise until you realize, oh, hey, this is a half step higher. That's kind of what this section's trying to emulate, with the side-to-side panning and everything. Let's see what else is going on here. We get a callback to the melody here, actually. These actually become dominant chords. So you start, I want to say it starts as an A flat major chord. And this chord here is actually a G flat chord. I think there ends up being an E natural. But then this is a callback to the melody, but it's a whole step up from what the chords are. So the chord is a G flat major, but the tenors are playing an A flat major. So that's kind of referencing the melody, because this is actually supposed to be the last A section of the melody. So I had to bring back the melody a little bit somehow. And they also do the side-to-side panning here as well. So yeah, slowly building, adding more voices, adding more to the chaos. Some trills here, adding voices up here. And this is actually, I think I buried this in the mix a bit. It's actually a Moon River quote. And you still have the Jesse lick going on here for quite a bit. So yeah, A flat major here. Then we go down another whole step. I think these are actually kind of dominant chords, but kind of buried. It's basically E major, E dominant. Yeah, it's an E dominant chord. Slowly adding more and more voices. So I'll even play for you. So as this chord is still an E major chord, let's show that. Like an E dominant sharp 4, dominant 11, or sharp 11, whatever. We still have this Jesse lick going on in the original key of A flat. So you have this like an E Lydian chord. So yeah, it's pretty out there. That stays going in A flat through that chord. So then we keep on going, and this is where we get to the end of the melody, that last phrase that I cleverly misremembered. So the chords are going to go down to a D major. And then back up to the like an E chord. It's actually an E sus10, I would call it. But it's like basically a 4/5 progression, or 4 chord to a 5 chord, and then resolving where it's going to be. We're now in A, by the way. So throughout that whole thing, the bass kind of goes A flat major, G flat major, E major, D major, and then our E major chord as a 5 chord leading to the end. And that is an A flat, a written F natural on a alto. Because high notes make things more epic. Let's see. How did I do that? Yeah. So that's just fun, high notes. But yeah, this sort of dominant chord. It's really, I think, at its fundamental, it's E sus chord. There might, I forget if there's a flat 7 in there or not. Yeah, there is. Justly tuned flat 7. Where is that? There it is. I think I added 1. So we're on this E chord. And there's just one flat 7. And yeah, and then we get to the last little section. So this is again like a Moon River, just has a 5/1 in the high notes. Hold it out forever and ever and ever. I can't remember. I can't remember if I was able to do. I think I was able to do this in one breath, but I wasn't sure how long to hold it, so I actually held it way too long. So I had to. You can see here the crossfades so that I could shorten the track a little bit. And then what these harmonies are, so you have these held out A's in the top in the melodies, voices. And then the chords are A major in first inversion, D minor to B half diminished. Well, B diminished, just a triad though. I don't think I had an A natural in there. And then it's going to resolve to an A major. And in total, if this audio doesn't crack, it's going to sound like, and I just, a lot of voices to make it epic. I don't think no extra lines, is just the ending. It's supposed to sound like the ending, so. It's a high G on soprano, by the way. Concert B flat, high G. Yeah. So that's that high F sharp. I actually did not have the chops to play that again, so I had to copy that over from earlier in the chart. If I recall, I think there is actually a major 7 in here somewhere. Let me add all the berries. See, adjust intonation. I tune a lot of this stuff, and it took quite a while to tune. Yeah, there's the G sharp. So there is a major 7 there. And I think so there is a 9, a little bit of 9. I think I only did one major 7. That's because Jacob Collier in his live stream breakdown of Moon River revealed a hidden major 7 in there. So I thought I'd add that just a little bit. Let's see what's in here. Yeah. Oh. There is actually another. So a few majors. Yeah. So there's a little bit hint of a major 7 in some of these voices, but largely like a major add 2, a major add 2 or add 9, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, that's the chart. From start to end, my arrangement of it came upon the midnight clear, trying to emulate the style of Jacob Collier's arrangement of Moon River. I have no idea how long it's been, but my voice is getting kind of raspy. So yeah, I think I was doing this. I started it about December 1st. I think I spent about 5 days recording all the tracks. No more than 2, maybe 3 hours a day recording it. And then I was also recording Jacob Collier's arrangement of the Christmas song at this time, and working on that. And so between this and that one, audio, video, everything, I started December 1st, and I finished December 23rd on both of those. So it took a while. But yeah, this is the chart. I'll hopefully include a link somewhere so you can go back and check out the original video and hear that. I hope you enjoyed this sort of breakdown. I'm hoping to do more of these, and with charts that actually have written music, so I can go a little bit more over the voicings and some of the chords and what I was thinking of as I was planning this out and listening to it. So if you'd like to see more, anything specific, leave a comment down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, see you soon.